Hi, this is Sean McCloskey from Short Sale Wealth. Welcome to part 3 of The Competition Killer. I hope you've had a chance to go download parts 1 and 2 of The Competition Killer. These are crucial aspects of your real estate investing business, particularly if you're doing short sales. But parts 1 and 3 can work to your advantage regardless of what type of investing you're doing. If you haven't gotten a chance to check those out yet, please do so. Please go there, download the first 2, and then come back to that blog and ask questions as we move along. This particular module, part 3, is the 2-minute story that will virtually eliminate your competition once and for all. I included this because everything I've taught you up to this point does not matter one single bit if you don't listen to this module very carefully. This is where your deal can flounder. You must make sure that you convey to the homeowner that once they start working with you, they deal with you only. They shouldn't talk to any other investors, agents, friends, anybody without talking to you first. And this story is going to help you explain to them why it's in their best interest to do so. And keep in mind, this is not because I'm afraid of competition, but I'm really looking out for the homeowner's best interest. And this story is going to explain to you why. Let me tell you a little story about Mrs. Watson. And by the way, I tell this story on every single appointment that I make. I do not skip this under any circumstance. Mrs. Watson owed about $75,000 on her house. She's here in St. Louis, in South St. Louis City. And to give you an idea, we have houses in St. Louis anywhere from $50,000 to multi-million-dollar houses. Our average property here is about $178,000. So if your market's different, don't freak out. It's just numbers. You can relay this into your own market. But she owed about $75,000 on her house, and it was a cute little city house. Now, the value of what she owed might have been correct with the value of what the property's actually worth if the house wasn't leaning to one side. I mean, I literally pulled up the house and I looked at it, and you could tell the entire thing was cocked over to the right a lot. I mean, it was very obvious as soon as you saw it. But Mrs. Watson was very concerned about her credit. She was having a hard time making her payments. She had recently lost a job, and she really wanted to avoid the foreclosure from being on her credit. So she contacted me off of one of our mailers. And again, using the part 1 of the Competition Killer, I built rapport instantly on the phone, and we got along really good. I mean, right off the bat, we were hitting it off really well. I really felt like I understood where she was. She felt like she could trust me, and it was great. So I met her at the house. We went over the paperwork. We did what we needed to do. I got the ball rolling. Matter of fact, she even signed over the deed to the house on the very first appointment, which is what 99% of our first appointment clients do with us. But at this point, we've built so much rapport, no problem. So we started working on the short sale deal. Everything was going as planned. We submitted our offer, and the lender eventually is going to send out a person called a BPO agent. That stands for Broker's Price Opinion. Either that or an appraiser, and they're going to make sure that your offer is in line with what the true value of the property is based on what an appraiser or a BPO agent says it's worth, right? So we attended the BPO, and it went perfectly. Matter of fact, the agent, as soon as he pulled up, said, "Is this house going to fall over?" And I'm like, yes, that means that he's going to bring the value down low because obviously it looks like it's going to fall over. So we actually got our first offer approved. Now remember, I told you Mrs. Watson owed $75,000 on her house. We got a short sale approved to purchase this house for $14,750. Obviously, that is a huge, I mean, that's a $60,000 discount on a first mortgage. Not only that, but I don't know anything about foundation repairs. I'll be the first to tell you, I am not a rehabber, but you don't have to know everything about this. What I did is I found another investor who doesn't mind foundation repairs, and I contacted him about it. He made me an offer for $26,000 on the property. So I had an instant $11,000 profit all set, all for about 4 hours worth of work. I got my short sale approved, and about 4 hours after I got my approval phone call, I got another call from the lender. And this time the lender says, "Sean, I'm not sure what's going on here, but we just got another offer on the table on this property from a gentleman named Butch Jenkins for $25,000. That's obviously higher than your offer of $14,750. So we're going to need to consider this one above and beyond yours." And I'm like, whoa, what? I don't know. Who is Butch Jenkins? What's going on here? I had no idea what was going on. I was completely blown away. And my first thought was, how could Miss Watson even do this to me? I thought we built really good rapport. I thought we had a good relationship going. And to be honest with you, I was pretty angry. How could she do this to me after the work that I put forward and after all the rapport that we built? So I called her. And just like always, Mrs. Watson was very happy to hear from me. And I'm thinking, she's real happy to hear from me. How can she go and stab me in the back like this? So I just asked her, I said, "Listen, I don't know what happened here, but I just got a phone call from the lender, and the lender mentioned someone named Butch Jenkins, and that Butch made an offer, and it's higher than mine, so now they're creating a bidding war between myself and Butch Jenkins. I told her what happened. I said, now the deal is a mess. And I said, I don't understand, Mrs. Watson. How could you go and work with someone else when I felt like you were really comfortable? Did I not make you comfortable, or was there something wrong? And I'll never forget this. She said, Sean, I had no intention of doing anything to harm you. I honestly thought that 2 people working on this would be better than just one. Butch thought the same thing, and that's what he told me also. And I about fell over. I'm like, I can't believe this. But the truth is, I believe her. I mean, Mrs. Watson was a sincere, genuine woman. I believe that that's what happened. Unfortunately, Butch lied to her and told her that 2 investors working on this would be better than one, because Butch does not have the same mentality as you and I do, that abundance mentality that there's more than enough business for everyone. So I called Butch, and I asked him to withdraw his offer. He obviously refused. And I told him about the situation, that I already had it pre-sold, and I even offered to split the profit with Butch. He still refused, and he said, you know what, Sean, the highest offer wins, and he hung up on me. Needless to say, I was ticked at this point, right? Now, I had the deed to the property. If you remember, we got the deed signed at the very first appointment. I had not recorded it yet. Now, I could have played hardball, and most investors would play hardball in this situation, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought, well, if I record this deed, that's only going to end up hurting Mrs. Watson. It's not going to end up hurting Butch, and there's no sense in me doing that anyway, so I let it go. Well, a couple of weeks later, Mrs. Watson called, and guess what? Butch never got the money together to close the deal, so she lost the house to foreclosure. So after all that bidding war, after him creating a higher offer than what was even realistic, all of this mess, he doesn't even close the property. So what's the moral of the story? And by the way, I tell this at every appointment. What's the moral here? And I ask the homeowner this, and I make them answer me. And you know what they usually say? Sean, it sounds to me like 2 people working on the same deal is not better than one. And I say, you're correct. The moral of the story here is, if more than one person works a short sale on the same property at the same time, the only party that wins is the lender, because now it turns into an auction-type atmosphere. It turns into a bidding war. So here's what I do. I say, listen, if you ever have a problem, Mrs. Homeowner, Mrs. Watson, whoever I'm dealing with, if you ever feel uncomfortable, like maybe I'm not the one for you, that's totally fine. I don't ever want you to feel uncomfortable with working with me or in any of this business relationship that we have together. Just let me know. I promise I'll back off. But let me know, because if you don't, and you have some other investor come in here and start working on the same deal at the same time, guess who's going to lose? You know what they always say? I'm going to lose, Sean. And I say, you're right. So if at any time you feel uncomfortable working with me, I'm fine with that. Just call me, let me know, and I'll back off. Does this make sense to you? And I wait until I get a yes. This 2-minute story is crucial to your deal. Please use it as your own. Matter of fact, I hired someone recently, and I forgot to tell them to do this, to tell this story at every appointment. And guess what? We lost another deal to another investor. And it wasn't because the homeowner was being backstabbing. It wasn't like that at all. They really thought they were doing the right thing by having 2 people work on the bank instead of one, and everyone ended up losing in the end. So I hope that you continue to use this 2-minute story. Please use it as your own. You can even say that a business associate of yours, this is what happened to him. You're more than welcome to use this story as your own. I invite you to do that. Okay, that about sums it up for part 3 of the Competition Killer. Please be sure to go back to the blog and ask questions. We're going to be doing a live Q&A session here in the next day or two, and if you decide to take part in this, I will be able to answer some of your own specific questions absolutely free. This is something that most people don't do. Again, my philosophy is to give first, and I really, really enjoy teaching. I want you to use this in your business. This doesn't do you any good if you don't take it and put it to work. So keep your eye out for more communications from us in the next day or two. We'll be in touch very soon. And in the meantime, this is Sean McCloskey from Short Sale Wealth. Happy investing.